Hello, I'm Brenton Moriello. I'm the CEO of DWP, Design Worldwide Partnership. We're an international architecture and interior design company. We're based here in Thailand, but we have 10 offices throughout the globe, mainly in Asia through to the Middle East. DWP is a Thai-based company. It was started by two Australians some 22 years ago. I think the reason they might have come here back then was because in Australia there was a recession, and then in Southeast Asia we were growing at about 10% per year. It was the Southeast Asian economy, so it was really exciting for most Australians, myself included. So we decided to come across here and strike out on our own, originally with another Australian design firm, but realising the opportunities, strike out on our own and become entrepreneurs, and 22 years later here we are, DWP Worldwide. The economic environment and therefore the opportunities that exist for DWP have changed dramatically in the last 22 years. I think way back in 1997, when we had the first financial crisis that began here in Thailand, it was a real wake-up call for DWP to change what it did and how it did it. DWP in the last 3 or 4 years, despite the global financial crisis, has done extremely well in our home market of Thailand and in Malaysia and in Vietnam. Of course, Singapore and some other areas have been a little bit more difficult, but perhaps that's because they're more mature in terms of a marketplace. But that just means we have to approach it differently. But I do see great opportunities. I think we've had a real boom in the property market, which definitely helps a design firm like DWP. But we're also doing different things, as I mentioned before. We're moving into some sort of project management, some sort of construction management. We're doing lighting and audio-visual. We're doing food and beverage concepts, which are sort of ancillary to our design concept that we are really well known for. Creative industries in Thailand really have been at the forefront of the Thai government's campaign to boost this sector of the economy. I do think that there are opportunities for Australian firms, therefore, to move into the market. And when I say creative industries, I'm not just talking about architecture, interior design, but there's also things like product design, there's lighting, there's art, there's crafts, there's fashion, there's TV. I've been a real proponent here, and I've actually worked with the government on several occasions to talk up a sort of a cluster effect. If you think of the IT sector, when there's a cluster of projects and companies that come together, you seem to get this multiple effect. So I've been working with the government to try and create this cluster effect, whereby we bring the different creative industries together to get a multiple effect. We think that that will really take root here in Thailand, where the people here are very creative. They have a real appreciation for creative and taking that into a business sector. So we're working hard on that. Just recently, for instance, we've been working with some Australian companies to help them come here, take some of our branding, some of our ideas, and bring them back to Australia. Right now, DWP, for example, has an alliance or a partnership, if you'd like, or a collaboration with an architecture company called Suitors. They're now called DWP Suitors, because they're now using some of our talent, some of our creativity back in the Australian market. And we're doing likewise. We're taking some of their technical knowledge, some of their 55 years of history and of knowledge of architecture and bringing it back into Thailand. It's a win-win situation for both of us. I think there are also real opportunities for Australian and Australian companies in the service sector, particularly through the free trade agreement, as we see a lot of the regulations fall away over the next few years. I think, though, that Australian service sector needs to start coming to Thailand now, placing down roots, getting to know the people, building the networks before some of those regulations actually fall away. It's investment, and in Southeast Asia and in Thailand particularly, don't underestimate the value of pre-investing in people, in being known in the market. Sometimes we think we'll just turn up and everything will be fine. That's not the way it works here. It's about relationships. It's about being known in the market, being seen in the market. That builds a level of trust for our service industries. And Australia, we have such great service industries in IT, in finance, in design. We have some of the best design companies in the world. I think if they start to come now, lay down some roots, be known, not with arrogance, but with a clear business mind, I think that there's some real potential for great successes there for Australian businesses. in Thailand, it has become easier in the last 22 years that I've been here to do business. I think a lot of the regulation, a lot of the processes have been improved. There's been great investment in Thailand in the administration side of things. I don't think that that detracts from the competitive side, the marketplace ease. It is competitive. It's not easy to do business here. There are cultural elements, but it actually works as a normal market base. You have to be ready for very tough, very vigorous competitive environment. It's like nowhere else. But setting up, getting going, it's become a lot easier. Over the last 22 years, there's been a lot of challenges that we've faced at DWP and also personally here. I think it began in 1997 with the financial crash, and then there was the 2001 bubble, and then we went on to floods and tsunamis and coups and all sorts of things. I think what to take away from that as an investor coming to Thailand, don't be put off by it. Just work through it. It's just a normal day. Even on the coup day, just go to work. Everything carries on in Thailand. And it's a great thing. It just shows you the resilience of business here. Business comes first in Thailand, no matter what happens. When they were sandbagging the front of my office for the floods, as it were, we just climbed over 2.5 meters of sandbanks and went to work. We waded through water in our shorts and came to work. It's just the way here, and I think that's also a great thing. It's very unpredictable in some ways, but it's exciting. That's the vibrancy of Thailand. Come, work hard, throw yourself in it, don't be put off, and you can make a great success here. It's terrific. I think there are many reasons why I would choose Thailand over some of the other regional players, as it were. And I have spent a lot of time in those countries. I was 3 years in and out of Malaysia and in Vietnam. I spent a lot of time in the UAE with our offices there as well. I would still tend to choose Thailand. I feel that it is easier to do business here, at least to get going, as it were. And then you do have the marketplace difficulties. But it is a large market, it is worth investing in, and I do believe that the returns here are worth the investment. For the last 65 years, through tumultuous change here in Thailand, they've really kept a focus on business. It is the hub of Southeast Asia. You can't take it away from Thailand. They've done a magnificent job here in building an infrastructure that really supports business. And if you look at us, a small design firm that came here and started here 20 years ago with 2 Australians. We're now nearly 400 people. We've got 10 offices. We're spanning Asia, and we've moved back into Australia with 4 new offices. I think that's a success story that you could build on, that you could take some heart from. And actually, I think it's easier now than it was then. I think that there's more opportunities now than there were then. So I would really recommend that Thailand become your focus over some of the other countries in the region.